You can't be serious. I mean, really though? You mean to tell me that them Voltrons went out like that? Hey, yo, Nims, let me hold this for a minute.
Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got old Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house. That playing game don't mean you won inside the playoffs. Don't even talk to the media, take that jersey off. The 4 games I'm tuned in, you had the city watching. Don't even watch Philly play, just watch James Harden. That swing pick, never mind, I let my man take him. And now Katie having nightmares of Jason Tatum. That famous line by Loaded Lux that you gon' get this work. Don't talk to me about Ben, he said his back hurt. Like Kyrie, like Steve Nash, you can take the blame. Come next year, I'm going back to playing half them games. The truth be told, we don't care about your Barclays. When it comes to the city, this here's RJ's. My young Gems right now, yeah, they on some shit. From Obi Toppin, I man your ass real quick. A line flip, no, I feel bad for Blake Griff. That's the loss you gotta take to win a championship. Now you back like the New Jersey Nets. What you thought your Final Four was cutting down the nets? Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got old Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house.
When it comes to the city, it's all...
Salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. What's good, everybody? Salute to the chat. Salute to Nick Nation. We out here ready to talk this thing. Obviously, we have plenty of news to talk about with reports that the new Utah Jazz and New York Knicks are talking Don, Mitch, and of course, like we've been on point talking about it for the last how many weeks now. We're going to have a great conversation today with the chat and talk about this and what it means, what you guys are feeling with this situation. And I'll give my thoughts as well. But first and foremost, salute to the chat out here. Sharp Powers, salute, salute, salute. What's good? Hope you're well. Canal, what's good? Family, what's good? That's a tap. Plenty of time to go. Prometheus, it's inevitable. Yep, absolutely. Both sides want it. I put in the chat with this situation. Now, of course, here it is. We had from Shams, obviously, and what I've been talking about over the last couple of days is that I knew that the talks, would re-engage. I never thought the deal was done or was dead by any means. I think both sides really want this to happen. They really want this deal to happen. And I've been saying, when two sides have a deadline, then there's motivation. And truth is, there was plenty of time to go. Executives were on vacation. There was, still the summer going on, and plenty of other things to happen around the league as well. So this is no surprise to me at all. I was expecting this to happen any day, any week, that the reports would surface again to say that the New York Knicks and the Utah Jazz are back in conversations again as well. It's very clear that the Jazz, the Knicks talked a lot earlier, like reports say, and the two sides got a feeling out process of, and some posturing. And then, of course, the Utah Jazz weren't happy or weren't ready to make no deal just yet. So they canvassed the league. They went around the league to talk to many other teams and as they still are probably, and, hearing what each team's best offer is, what they'd be willing to part with, in a Donovan Mitchell deal. And, the inevitable always comes to surface, and that's everything we've known. The New York Knicks have the best deal. The New York Knicks do have the best package available. That hasn't changed, and that won't change. But really, happy to actually hear this, that, talks are getting serious again. Of course, the story says no deal is imminent. Like I said, it's very early still. But it's more about what this, signalizes to me. What this signalizes, both sides are very motivated to make a Donovan Mitchell deal. I've always felt that despite the posturing, the Utah Jazz would prefer not to go into the season with Donovan Mitchell on their roster. By all reports, they could go into the roster with Donovan Mitchell, but I feel like they would not prefer to have him on the roster still, as that goes against their whole aim this season. When they traded Rudy Gobert, they basically, showed the world the pathway that the Utah Jazz want to go on, which is to rebuild, get a good draft pick, best possible draft pick as well, and try not to win as many games. Otherwise you trade Rudy Gobert for other vets to help you win. You don't just move on from him for predominantly picks with this situation. And I salute Fabian in the chat. Hope you're well, fam. Yep. Einsuf Absalom. Hope you're well, fam. What's good? New York, we here. Cash out, James. Salute. Glad to have you all tuning in, and hope everybody's well, ready to start their day off on the right foot. And always happy to talk Knicks, Donovan Mitchell. And we're going to hear this some more. It's going to continue as we get closer, but we aren't that far off. There is an end in sight for me, as I'll hit on with the good, the bad, and the ugly. For me, the good, we start with, and what I said before, I could see the end in sight, basically, for a Donovan Mitchell deal. It ultimately comes back to how motivated both sides are to get something done. It takes two to tango, so to speak. And, like I said, the number one preference is for Utah to get a great pick haul to move on from Donovan Mitchell before this season starts. The New York Knicks aim, for many, many reasons, would be to bring in Donovan Mitchell, an all-star, a feather in Leon Rose's cap, this front office, and bringing more star power to the New York Knicks. There was reports about, Dolan potentially, reports basically insinuating that Dolan would entertain selling the team, later in a few years' time, potentially. Of course, there's the TV deal, CBA, and all of that. And with that said, the Knicks would prefer, in my opinion, to gear themselves up to in the NBA to boost their value, when all that's ready to be signed. A great New York Knicks team that's winning with all-stars on their team is better for the league for ratings, better for the league in value, all of those things, box office, what the story is with that situation, right? So, and salute Sam Granderson. What's good, fam? Checking in at 6 a.m. Appreciate you. Let's get it. Good morning, beautiful morning to everybody out here. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of motivations, as the league, prefers the Knicks to be box office. Tom Thibodeau, is here to try to win with this organization. And I felt after the draft, it was a pivotal moment for this franchise to make a decision on what direction they would like to go, and signaling, trading these picks out of the 11th pick to get Donovan, Jalen Brunson, get future picks to help make a Donovan Mitchell deal a bit easier. That is the direction Leon Rose has chosen. I'd be surprised if it was anything else. With Tom Thibodeau here, he's giving him an opportunity to see what he can do with this New York Knicks team, and he's going to try to bring in some veteran talent. And so that basically, bolsters the argument that the Knicks are, heavily motivated to bring in Donovan Mitchell, right? I don't really see any star shaken loose in the next 1 to 2 years of Donovan Mitchell's, caliber. That's a very, very, very obtainable right now. So here he is. He's staring the New York Knicks in the eyes right now. It's between Danny Ainge, between Leon Rose as well. Talks have re-engaged between these two teams as well. We have the draft picks to satisfy what Utah are looking for. There's obviously a bit of back and forth still to be sorted out with how many young players the New York Knicks would be willing to move on from, and how many young players, Danny Ainge wants, and as well. I think the pick side of things will be easier fixed as well, whether the New York Knicks, remove some protections, add an extra pick or two. I think at the end of the day, if the New York Knicks have decided that Donovan Mitchell is their guy, I think they're going to try to get him before the season starts. Well, so yeah, with that said, I could see an end in sight for Donovan Mitchell deal. And when is that? Like I said, two sides very motivated, Jazz would prefer he's not on their roster heading into the season. And I think the Knicks would prefer he's in training camp as well. So with this, with two sides negotiating, when there's a deadline, that motivates two sides to get something happen right now. So talks have re-engaged. They'll definitely start heating up soon over the coming weeks as well. I could really see an end in sight. To me, this is a signal for that. This is the end in sight. I think it's inevitable. I think Donovan Mitchell will be a Knick as well. I'm putting it at 75% that Donovan Mitchell will be a Knick before the season begins as well. I'm very, very confident with that. Of course, deals take some ironing out. There's a lot of things to come with a deal of this magnitude. We heard the reports that the Lakers are trying to get involved in the three-way deal as well. It's interesting that this report didn't mention anything about the third team, didn't mention anything about the Lakers or anything about that. So that's very, very interesting. And of course, I'm really happy to hear the NBA schedule is dropping in 1 day's time. I think it's going to drop tomorrow. But today we should probably hear another leak about some more games, quite possibly as well. And we'll chop up the Knicks opening night in Memphis as well. And I want to touch on Johnnie Bryant's impact with the Knicks, and Johnnie Bryant's impact with Donovan Mitchell, being here as well. Yeah, salute to everyone out here in the chat. Let's get into it. And appreciate you, CAA Mafia. What's good? What up? And yeah, trade Randall IQ, Cam, and 3 picks. Nothing more, nothing less is your deal. Yep, we'll get into that. Absolutely. Randall, there's very, very credible reports that Randall is on his way out, fam. If Mitchell's incoming, well, it's all about fit, picks, and all of those things as well with that situation. But yeah, I feel like Julius would have a bounce back year. So, I'm cool with Julius rocking at the moment, but I'd also be okay, be fine with him gone with this situation. And cash out. Doesn't want Donovan at this point. I'm tired of the talks. Just run the team we have now. Yeah, really appreciate different fans' voices as well. And there is a very loud voice, cash out fans that don't want Mitchell, that are cool the way we are. And I respect that. I respect that people love parts of the team the way we are right now, or want to see us go down that path, see what we look like this season with Jalen Brunson, our young players that we love as well. And, I'm impartial as well. I'm excited for Mitchell. I feel like when he becomes a Knick as well, I don't feel like it's an all-in move. I feel like there's other things that can happen. And as I've said in a show last week with EJ, is that I feel like if Brunson and Mitchell are on the team and it's not working out, you could always trade one of them in the future. So I don't think you're fully locked into a Mitchell-Brunson backcourt, But where the Knicks have been over so many years recently, I feel like it's worth a look. Depending on the deal, what it looks like. But I'm on board still. I want to see what the deal looks like. But I don't feel like a Brunson-Mitchell thing is an all-in move. We would still have young players on the roster still. There would still be more flexibility than what we had after the Carmelo deal, with that situation. But yeah, I definitely could get behind and rock with this team without Mitchell, without Spida up in this piece as well. Yeah, CAA, I sure did hear about that report or, media speculation about Dolan might be planning to sell the team. Yep, that's very interesting. Give me your thoughts on that situation. Obviously, Dolan is making a lot of bread off the New York Knicks. They're very, very successful. I don't feel like Dolan would entertain selling the team. It would be a surprise to me because he's young still. It's making so much money for everybody, fam. But with that situation, nothing would shock me. But yeah, let's keep our eyes out for what's to come. Apparently, there was a statement. Tommy Beer reached out to and got a statement from an MSG executive that said we have no plans to sell the team at all. So they were quick. They were quick to respond with that speculation. Yeah, that's the media hoping he sells. Yeah. Cash out. What matchup are you really looking forward to this season? Well, there's so many of them, fam. So many. And let me pull up the power rankings, fam. With this situation, there is quite a lot of power rankings out here to look at. So for me, I'm really looking forward to matchups against the Sixers. The first one we got, cash out, Christmas Day. I think that's going to be a great matchup. The Sixers, all reports are going to be at the top of the East. So that's going to be a great test. I'm really looking forward to all the games against the Heat as well, with Jimmy Butler and how hard they play and, how hard they're going to go for it as well. And, reports say that they're our top competitor for Donovan Mitchell. So, it'd be nice to stack up against them. I love the matchups against the Raptors. Personally, I feel like we usually, struggle with their length. Fam, we struggle with the Raptors' length, but we had a really, really, really good showing towards the end of the season, if you recall, with Obi and Quickly getting lots of burn with that. And of course, the Nets as well. Really, really look forward to the Nets and the Bulls matchups with that. But yeah, you let me know what matchups you're most looking forward to. Yeah, Canal, nobody is going to sell a golden ticket right now. And the most valuable franchise billionaire, just raking it in as well. So young too, and it would be very interesting to see. But I think Dolan wants to see this franchise on the right track. There are reports he doesn't really care about winning, but given the team stunk for the best part of 20 years, I think, he knows how much higher this value can go if the Knicks actually start winning. Fabian says they'll bring over Mitch for sure, since Bryant will be the head coach soon. Yep. We're going to hit on that, Fabian. Great points about JB. As you'll see in the thumbnail, I don't feel like that's getting much talk in this whole Donovan Mitchell thing. Not many people that I've heard anyway have made no correlation to Johnnie Bryant being here and what the future holds for Johnnie Bryant. So I really want to hit on that today, because it's poignant that Johnnie Bryant is the only, and I stress the only, non-Tom Thibodeau connected coach here, right? He is kind of the outlier, the odd one out. Dice Yoshimoto, Rick Brunson, Darren Ehrman, whoever else is here is connected or was connected to Tom Thibodeau and was brought in. But Johnnie Bryant was specifically brought in before that, was brought in by Worldwide Wes. And of course, we know Worldwide Wes throughout this season was the one talking to James Dolan about potentially being unhappy with Tom Thibodeau. So you have Johnnie Bryant here as well. He didn't get the Utah gig, so he is still firmly in the fold with the New York Knicks. And this season's going to be fascinating to see what comes of Johnnie Bryant and, exactly how he rises up the ranks or doesn't rise up within this organization. And of course, it's poignant with this Spida Mitchell impending deal, in my opinion, is impending. With Johnnie Bryant, he's just going to have more connection to arguably the team's top player at that point in time. So Tom Thibodeau could be here to set the table, Johnnie Bryant to take over the reins with that thing. What do you guys feel about that situation? Yeah, that's a good point too about Randall's weight loss. fam. I think that could be Randall intending, or the team intending, to try to play faster as well. Randall getting up and down, and also having more stamina. It's tough carrying that weight, that load, being that heavy up in there. Is Julius getting up and down at the weight he used to play at? Was tough for him to close out games, play 38 plus minutes, and have enough gas in the tank to finish out real strong as well. So yeah, but like you hit on, that could mean that he's weaker in the rebound department, in the post ups. Yeah, all those things. Yet CAA Mafia hits that the stockholders wants to sell the team when the Las Vegas MSG sphere is done. I wouldn't sell either, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Yeah, absolutely, you hit with that. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, obviously, the key to the story is the Las Vegas MSG sphere, with that, which cost a ton of bread as well. A huge investment up in this piece is that Las Vegas MSG sphere. But yeah, why sell a golden ticket right now? Yep. And really looking forward to the Hawks matchups as well. Yep. As we'll touch on also, what's leaked so far. Merry Nixmas, Trae Young was salty, fam. Got no mention of the Christmas Day game as well. So the Hawks are going to have to do their talking on the court this season. DeJounte Murray's been causing a havoc, this summer, punking people left, right, and center as well. Let's see those dudes, do their talking on the court with that situation. And I also want to get everyone's opinion on how many national games do you feel are coming up with this. You see Bill Simmons put out a tweet as well. When did the NBA schedule release become such a 5-day event? That's due to the leaks. They should have just dropped it already. But wait, let me guess. The Warriors, Celtics, Bucks, Lakers, Sixers, Grizzlies, and Knicks are going to have a lot of national TV showcase. So, yeah, we're set to get a lot of national games. I guessed 18. I'm guessing 18 national TV games. What do you guys feel like? Hard Will in the house, salute. What's good? Good morning. CAA. Randall wants to be LeBron James, and that worries me. He has to play his role. Stop thinking that he's a point forward. Nobody wants to see him bring the ball up except himself. Yeah. I will offer various perspectives on that too, because Randall in the wrong role was straight ugly last season. There's no doubt about it. It was straight ugly to watch. But Randall with a point guard, when fallen back, into a secondary scoring role with more scoring help, I really feel like you get Randall in the right spots, get him downhill as well. He's still an excellent player in this league. Still an excellent player, but when used right as well. Anthem saying media playing with your emotions again with this situation. It reports, I understand, back and forth each day. I did know that stories would come out again very soon. The closer we get to the training camp, like I said, that's what it's all about, the deadline, fam. Early reports, we were so far out from training camp, but now we are getting so much closer to this thing being real, right? And when there's urgency and two sides are motivated to get this thing done, I think it's going to get done. I really do. I put it at 75% now before a training camp that this thing gets done, in my opinion as well. This is not based on no sources or anything I've heard or read anywhere, just my opinion as well. I feel like this is the end in sight, again, with talks re-engaging. Again, two teams that backed away, they don't re-engage so soon unless there's real motivation, to get this thing done. Well, we have what the Jazz want. They have what the New York Knicks front office want. Well, it's just going to come down to some kind of compromise, and at the 11th hour, it'll get done, right? Donovan Mitchell is probably in New York right now this summer, and he's probably not even going to leave New York as well. But to get some belongings, maybe put his house on the market when he's traded. CAA, if he plans to sell the team, Dolan can step in and force a trade for Donovan Mitchell, since it's always better to sell a team with a star already on the roster. Yep. So it's something to be aware of, fam. Yep. That's exactly what I just insinuated at the very, very beginning of this show, fam. The TV deal is on the horizon. The CBA deal is on the horizon. If he is planning to sell or he isn't, a team that's winning, a team that has an all-star is much, much more valuable, fam. So absolutely throw that into the pot as to why I think this deal's just inevitable. It's just going to happen, right? I never thought for a minute that this deal was not going to happen. We just heard so many reports early in the piece because we were far away, we were far out. Well, and Ron in the building, salute. What's good, Knicks family? Salute. Good morning. Have a great day. Like you said, Knicks have what the Jazz wants, and the Jazz has what the Knicks want, not need. Yeah. The Jazz have what the Knicks want, but not need. Yeah. And yeah, I always look at things from both perspectives as well. I'm okay with the slower development rebuild, but I'm also okay with the bringing in Mitchell because of his age. And I don't think it's an all-in move, fam. I really don't. I'm interested to hear your perspectives as well on this, in terms of, I get the apprehension of bringing in Spida about the fit, the assets you've got to give up, and all of those things. But I think people need to also understand and realize is that Donovan Mitchell is 25, 26 years old. So is Brunson, right? You give it a try. You see if it's working. You have a few years to try to see if the Knicks can climb up the East, right? Become a powerhouse, right? And what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing is it doesn't work out. We're a defensive liability. It's sloppy. The worst thing is these guys are 28, 29 years old, right? 2-3 years into it, it's not working out. You trade one of them and you retool. You get one other all-star in and you go again. So it's not an all-in move by all means. And you trade a Brunson or a Spida Mitchell, and you're going to be able to recoup picks. You're going to be able to recoup role players if you so want to get the role players back. Well, in the future, these guys are going to have value still. And Donovan Mitchell still has 3 years on his deal as well before this huge CBA thing kicks in, right? You're going to have dudes on 50, 60, 70 mil in 3 years' time from now, before Donovan Mitchell's current deal is up. There's going to be dudes on 50 mil on the regular, dudes like Dame Lillard earning 60, 70 mil. Heck, Russ Westbrook's making 47 mil as well. So getting a Donovan Mitchell on the current contract he's on as well is actually prudent for the future as well. Before this spike goes up, you get him on the roster before all of that happens, and you've got yourself a nice asset that you can trade later as well. And what's up, Deshaun? Salute. Yeah, CAA says, CT, if you have to give up Grimes and keep Cam, and if Cam shows out this year, do you think RJ would take a pay cut to keep Reddish? I think those two are going to really push each other this year, first and foremost. I'll say it's beautiful that they're both here, but they're both in a contract year as well, and they're both from Duke, both buddies, and that's going to push each other to both want to get the bag and have a great year as well. In terms of paying them, I'm not worried at all, fam. I think James Dolan's never gone cheap. Like, if we have to go over the cap, we'll go over the cap. I feel like, and that's to keep both of them. If Cam proves to be that dude this year, I think James Dolan or whoever is the decision maker will go all in and get that guy. if he's our wing. Yeah, definitely. I think, because if we do go on Spida, Brunson, we know the main issue. The main issue is size and defensiveness, defensive shortcomings. So load up on wings. Wings are very, very important to help that combination win. And I think we have the right center mix with some rim protection. Cash out. No one cares what Danny Ainge wants. He either wants what Leon gives him, or he can go kick rocks. Go find a better deal, Ainge. Yep. We're sort of bidding against ourselves at the moment, cash out, which we got to tread lightly. We got to be careful with this thing, because whilst there's the deadline and both sides want it to happen before the training camp begins, but there's one thing that can really hold things up, and that's when dudes get petty with picks with players and getting the back and forth as well. That's going to be the biggest issue, the hurdle to overcome with this thing, and not putting too many assets in the middle, like Cash Out said, right? A fair deal. And if I had to speculate, obviously the report says that the team's re-engaged, which is great, because they were obviously, when they went away last time, being far apart or not happy, so they've re-engaged. So they've obviously talked about a fresh perspective, on this trade. Ainge has surfaced the league, seeing that other teams don't have the picks, basically. So that's the most important thing. So maybe Leon has to throw in an extra pick or remove some protections, and maybe we get to keep some of these younger players that we have, or one less young player in the deal. Let's see if Brunson and more playing time helps the Knicks and Randall's game play. Yeah, financial, I understand. Yeah, I love this take too, because it's a sliding doors moment, because like I said, I'd be happy to see what Brunson's impact is on this team without Mitchell, without Spida up in here as well. But I can also envision, Brunson with Spida and playing super fast, elite dribble penetration, great kick-outs, easier shot opportunities for everybody as well. Lob City, much more spacing with Brunson and Spida. So yeah, whilst there be issues defensively, Brunson and Spida bringing that pace and bringing that floor spacing would be nice. Yeah, like you said, I would love to see Brunson with this current unit as well. Brunson with RJ, with Cam, with Grimes getting up and down, and some size, with this situation. Yeah. And CA says, Knicks fans, would you be mad if LaMelo Ball gets Spida and we just watch him leave because we don't want to give up Grimes? Well, putting that facts out there with this situation, with Charlotte and Washington interested, fams. So that hasn't really got me worried personally. But yeah, I wouldn't feel really upset, but I would feel like, the Knicks let, an opportunity go, because I don't think Charlotte have a package that's great, that's great for the Jazz. So if they trade him to Hornets, then clearly the Knicks went real cheap and didn't want to give up anything. I basically feel like. So yeah, with that situation, I think the Knicks would definitely just upbid Charlotte and get him, I think. Yet cash out. Was Leon Rose the first to sign players to contracts that go down as years go? That's great business management. That is definitely great strategy. Cash out. I'm not sure if Leon was the first dude, but it wouldn't surprise me. He's been around a minute. Has Leon? He's been around, and he definitely knows the business like anybody. And so does Brock Aller, fam. Let's not sleep on Brock Aller's impact and what he's trying to do to help this cap situation out, I think. But But yeah, let's look at that situation. I think Jalen Brunson's contract is one that goes down too. So that's great business with this new salary cap going up, spiking up with the TV deal. Salute Wayne. What's good? How's everybody doing? CA, if the Hornets get Spida, they jump us on the rebuild. That'd be another team better than us. Yep. Yeah, facts. Right, with that situation. Definitely if we don't get Spida, it's a much, much slower build with this. It's Brunson, RJ, and it's waiting to climb up the East with this. I know each year different players can become available, but there's no guarantee we're going to be able to get those players, and a lot of competition comes out of nowhere and all of that stuff, right? Sometimes when the player is there, you have to strike. You just have to strike while the iron is hot and figure out the rest later, basically. And like I said, it's not an all-in move. The Knicks would have Brunson, Spida, 26 years of age, and they'll be able to try them out for a year or two, figure things out, see how it works, see what RJ's growth is like, and then make subsequent moves, right? This front office is moving and shaking. They don't strike me as ones that invest in everything, put all their eggs in a basket and sit tight. They're going to look at this thing and retool every year. I think if Brunson and Mitchell didn't work, they would retool around them, or they would trade one of them for this thing. Spida ain't going to no Charlotte. That's a 2K trade, says Cash Out. With that. I think we bring that up because Charlotte are in the reports too, as well, Cash Out. But yeah, I agree. I don't see them pulling off this move, man. Donovan Mitchell's meant to be a Knick, and he will be a New York Knick. I think there's too much impact here. Like I said, the lone guy, Johnnie Bryant, is still here. He did not take on the Utah gig as well for a reason. He knows there's a future for him lying in New York with this situation. It's just a matter of when. All reports are JB's great with young players, with Quickly, got respect of the young players. He relates to them real well. And he's got an opportunity to continue to stay on this staff and grow and develop relationships around the league with this. And who knows, Tom Thibodeau, 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years, sets the table, and then maybe an opportunity comes in a big, big market for JB with this. Everyone says that this would be the same as the Melo trade, but nonsense. If Amari was healthy, Melo would have made at least one finals appearance with that situation. Yeah. And I agree from that line of thinking. I think the Knicks did give up a lot for Melo, but it wasn't the Melo trade that ultimately prevented the Knicks from winning. It was the subsequent moves after the Melo trade that hamstrung them as well. Like you said with Amari, relying on Amari with blind loyalty to a faith and amnestying Chauncey Billups as well. That was a pivotal move that killed the team. Basically, that killed the team, right? So yeah, we gave up a lot for Melo, but we were in a nice situation where Melo was about to bring CP3 or, more people. They went with Amari as well, blind loyalty, and they amnestied Chauncey Billups and went for a one-dimensional. They paid a one-dimensional center in Tyson. He got the bag. He was deserving of that bag, but it was the wrong type of player. I think it was the wrong fit with that, going all in and, and spending that money on that situation. Wayne, another thing about the trade is we still have a draft pick in 2023. So there's still a chance we get a quality player in next year's talented and deep draft. Well, I'm glad you hit on that, Wayne. I've been saying that to some friends as well. So we got picks still, and we're not going to be giving them all up. So, yeah, we're going to keep some picks. This ain't an all-in move. It just ain't, fam. Yeah. Ainsoft says, I would rather Spida sit out a season, make Danny pay him while they tank and rethink. Well, so that's the other perspective, fam. Maybe they wait even longer than some of us think, and they play out the season and then, lose more leverage up in that thing. Yep. I think it's far less likely, but, anything's possible with this thing. Leslie says, stop it, learn from mistakes with this situation. So assuming you're not on board with the Mitchell deal as well, is it just the fit you're against, pivoting direction, or the what it would take to get Mitchell as well with this situation? Leslie says trash analysis. Yep, they appreciate anyone's thoughts with this thing as well. CAA, we gave up players that averaged 6 points in their career. Knicks was first in the East in LeBron's prime with Amari on one knee. Yep, facts, right? We did give up players that averaged 6 points as well. So yeah, it was a move that was a fair deal, right? You go get that superstar, in my opinion, when they're available, right? You figure the rest out, cash out. The trade that messed the Knicks up was the Andrea Bargnani deal. You could add that to a long list of other moves. Yet they also had the chance to get Kyle Lowry, and all it would have cost was Shump and a first-round pick. But James Dolan vetoed that deal. So, yeah, that was interesting as well. I wanted Kyle Lowry at that point. That was the wrong time for James Dolan to intervene. I think had the Knicks got Kyle Lowry, that would have been a nice move in his prime as well. Yep. Yeah, trading that first-round pick as well, that was silly. That was like trying to put the Band-Aid on that situation. Yet Bargnani straight messed that up with that. So, yeah, just reading what was actually reported and said, well, as we know, it was a fresh conversation, which I knew was going to come up again. It was imminent, because both sides, again, are motivated. It comes back to motivation to get this thing to happen, right? The Knicks have always longed for star power, right? Ties to New York, Donovan Mitchell, the connections have been there for a long time, right? Beat writers have spoken on it as well. This ain't just come out of nowhere, basically. This has been some years in the making. Currently, the traction, there's nothing imminent on this situation, but with the deadline of training camp, so 4, 5, 6 weeks to go, well, sides will get more urgent with this thing. Talks will get more serious, more serious to come. But to me, this is a signal that this is the end in sight. For me, this is the end in sight. I put it 75% that this deal gets done before the season begins. And throughout the trade talks, the Knicks have made their interest in Mitchell abundantly clear, right? That's no surprise, man. Abundantly clear. The Knicks want Donovan Mitchell. It's the league's worst kept secret. As one source with the knowledge says, the Knicks and Jazz seriously talked earlier, obviously during the summer league as well, in mid-July as well, but talks stalled out. Of course, it was so early and it was so long to go before, any kind of deal needed to happen, right? And, Danny was well within his rights to canvass the league, and hear what else can be had, basically. Eddie says, I'll never forget when we signed Jose Calderon, and Phil said the best thing about him is that he brings up the ball with that's a $20 word for $3 ham sandwich up in that thing, right? Yeah. Phil was trying to sell us a bill with that one, man, with Jose Calderon. Yeah. Billy Goat. Salute, what's good? Leslie, you can have a player who can't play defense in MSG. why would we bring in the player that doesn't play D with that situation? Or there's still many reasons, box office, offense as well. There's other pieces and roster construction that you can put around this team, in my opinion. You got the rim protection as well. Also, did you know that the Knicks were 11th in D last season, right? Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, right? The New York Knicks were 11th still in D. So Tom Thibodeau can put together schemes and fits to make the Knicks middle of the pack. The Knicks don't need to be a defensive powerhouse as well. They just need to be decent on defense, decent. And with elite to better offense, the Knicks could obviously find themselves competing for the top 4, for many, many years to come with this fit. King Ribier, good morning. Salute Kings, Queens as well. Appreciate you all. Great conversation with this. We respect everyone's opinions, and there's no right or wrong way to build this thing as well. We shout you out if you're for the Donovan deal, if you're against the Donovan deal as well. We're just talking on the news. These are facts, right? In my opinion, and it ain't even my opinion really. It's facts that both sides are motivated to try to get this deal done. He is highly acquirable. He's Donovan Mitchell. Players like him don't become available very often. So, I want everyone to think about when you're okay not getting Donovan and wanting to pass on this deal, what is your plan for this team? What is your plan for this, to build for 10 more years and then hope some players develop, hope some players pan out. Are you okay with that? Not saying I'm knocking that strategy. I'll never stop supporting this team either way. But I see a front office trying to make moves, trying to do things. At least I'd rather somebody be proactive with this thing. Would you be mad if we gave up Fournier, IQ, Obi, and 3 firsts? Grimes with the backup 2, Cam backup 3. I would prefer not to do the deal, fam. I would prefer not to do that deal. It's not IQ and Obi together. The 3 firsts I'm okay with, but the IQ and Obi, I would prefer not to give up those 2. I'd prefer Fournier, either IQ or Obi, and Deuce Rocas, and the picks as well. Billy Goat, salute. What's good? Brooklyn Booch up in the house. What's good? What are you feeling towards this deal? CA Mafia, yes, I would be mad, but that's not going to happen. CAA, get me Steph Curry over lockdown defender. Buckets gets you chips. Defense gets you to the playoffs. That thing, right? Great points too. You got to put the ball in the cup to win. You've also got to stop the other team from putting the ball in the cup as well. But the playoffs is where it's at, ladies and gents. The playoffs is where you shine the most. And it's tougher to score in the playoffs, right? Because defense is key in, 7-game series. They game plan, they scheme for you and all that stuff. So, it's definitely tougher to get the ball in the cup in the playoffs. So bucket getters over D, I think, in the playoffs as well. Eddie, appreciate you, fam, chat as well. Everyone out here spitting knowledge. Spider-Man need to be swinging off the rims in MSG. Hard will. Facts. You're on board as well. Salute with that thing. I think it's a matter of time before a Spider-Man is swinging off MSG, the roof as well, and the roof blowing off as well. Can you imagine we pull this deal off with 2 weeks before training camp, right? And heading into opening night with this newly revamped roster with this thing, right? I'm just looking forward to a fun season, right? Regardless of Mitchell or no Mitchell, I'm on board 100% this season, right? We finally have our point guard and a center rotation, a young ascending star as well. Plenty of question marks, but Let's go into this battle and figure things out, fam. Cash out loves defense. Defense wins chips. Cash out, yep. Defense does win chips too. It does, right? You need to be able to stop the team. But yeah, scoring, what do they say? Better offense beats better defense. Better offense beats good defense. The saying goes with that. Clutch 3-point shooting is a must. We need makers, not just takers up in this thing, right? Eddie, Spida averages damn near 30 a game in the playoffs as well. Yeah. And I don't feel like people talk about the fit in Utah too much. When they're harsh on Spida, I don't think they take into account really what that roster was. Spida, couple decent role players in Ingles, Bogdanovich, Clarkson, Conley, Royce O'Neal, Favors, and a one-dimensional Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gay. Like, solid squad, but that's a lot on Spida's shoulders, Donovan Mitchell's shoulders, right? Donovan Mitchell comes to New York. He has a Brunson, an RJ, whoever else is here, Randall, the young players as well that can fill it up. There's more offensive options. I feel like guys that can easily go off for 30 a night. So, hey, let's get it. Julian, appreciate you. Let's get it. My bro from down under, getting after it. Appreciate you joining in. Wayne, selfishly, I don't want to give up Cam, but if it has to be Cam, I'll live with it, because we still have 6'8" athletic wing defender on a two-way with Ferron Hunt up in the house. Can't forget about him. Huge year ahead for Hunt, and he has a lot of potential as well. But I feel like we can hold on to Cam. I really do in this deal. I don't think Danny Ainge is interested in paying nobody unless it's the three-way deal. Yep. Eddie says, yeah, I'm fine with Donovan, and I agree. We need D, and I think you'll see Spida play tough D. But Tibbs, he's built like a truck. Yeah. Effort, fam. You could really, really see players play hard when they're at where they want to be at, basically. Donovan and MSG, right? With Johnnie Bryant here. That's all he would have envisioned being a kid. With Jalen Brunson wanting to be a kid. With roots in New York. Wanting to put on for the city. With Obi maybe still here as well. RJ, roots to the city. Well, now you're getting back to that 90s guys that play for the jersey, play for the city, basically. Yeah, Billy, Spida is a straight bucket, like Lillard and Curry. Build the D around him with team D. Yeah, I love that thought, right? Top of the morning, salute worldwide L in the house. What are your thoughts on this situation? What are your thoughts on the point I made too about the New York Knicks being 11th in D, right? For the first time in 22 years, the New York Knicks have had a better than league average D for consecutive years running, right? So Tom Thibodeau's been able to make some impact defensively with, roster and lineups that aren't the best. Basically, he knows how to play team D, how to get the schemes right on the defensive situation. So if with Evan Fournier and Kemba, if Tibbs can get us to 11th ranked D, I know Kemba missed most of the half of the season, but I don't think Donovan Mitchell's no way near as much liability as Kemba. And then Fournier may be replaced altogether as well. So, yeah, again, all you need is better, league average D or slightly better than league average D, but with elite offense, and you're good to go. Yeah, you're straight good to go with this thing, right? It's going to be crazy hard will up in this thing, right? On opening night, man, the roof would absolutely explode, man. I seriously think it'd be louder, and this is saying something, man. I think it would be louder than Carmelo Anthony's opening night. Well, if we went into this season with Jalen Brunson, with Spida Mitchell coming into opening night, well, and of course we don't even know what the MSG opener is going to be. We know that we are playing the Memphis Grizzlies on October 19 in Memphis. Well, league sources tell The Athletic it's the Grizzlies away, and it's the Grizzlies opener as well. But yeah, we eagerly await, man. Hopefully it's the Nets at MSG opening night as well. Maybe they give us Boston again as the Knicks home opener as well. Give us in the chat what you think is going to be the Knicks home opener, the home opener as well, and give us your thoughts on the Grizz home season opener as well. I wasn't too much of a fan when I first heard it, but now I'm like, okay, it's a great team. It's probably going to be a national televised game. Well, Memphis home opener with Ja and RJ versus Ja up in this thing. Maybe Brunson and Spida up in here, fam. AJ, what's good? Julius definitely has to go if Spida comes with that thing, right? It'd be interesting to see how fast that happens, to see whether they had the moves lined up with this thing. But the quickest way I see this happening is with the LA Lakers, right? They would love a nice addition like Julius, right? Back to LA. He plays great on the West Coast, gets up and down, right? He's focused back closer to home. Well, Julius on the Lakers is the quickest way I see him out of here with this thing. I don't see Utah wanting him, me personally. Eddie, the here bucket is a whole thing. I was so jealous watching SGA kill us, well, getting a bucket after bucket on drives, right? Yeah, he's effortless. That's the word I use to describe SGA. He just looks effortless out there on the court, does SGA. It comes second nature. He's the right size. He's the right build. All of this thing, fam. Yeah. Who's on the trade block and what's the max amount of picks you are willing to give up? Right? The max amount of picks I'm willing to give up is 4. 4, no more than that. And who else is on the block? It'd be Fournier, it'd be IQ, and it'd be Deuce, Deuce, Sims, or Rocas if they wanted to get the deal done, and 4 picks, but no more than that. Well, if we could get out of this deal keeping Obi, keeping Cam, potentially keeping Grimes and RJ, it's a win-win-win. Win-win-win with this thing. D, what's good? Salute. CA says Hunt will be overseas by the end of this year. Stop it. A lot of Knicks fans showing passion about Farron Hunt as well. There was plenty of Knicks players in the past hyped up as well. Maurice Endor, we all loved and wanted to see him make something of himself. But Hunt has skill set. He has physical tools. I would say physical tools. Whether he puts it together or not, we wait to see. Your package is Randall, IQ, Cam with 3 picks, not ours. That's it. Okay, not our pick. I don't think that gets that done. I would love that deal if that's the case, fam. Getting rid of Randall, IQ, Cam, 3 picks that aren't ours. That's it. I think you're on the right track with the players. I think Danny Ainge would love IQ, would potentially take Cam. But I think he definitely wants the unprotected picks that are ours. Not the heavily protected Milwaukee's and the Dallas's picks and things like that. I think with that, fam, as well. But yeah, appreciate you being obviously being very, very savvy, fiscal with what to give up. It's a big deal. We got to get it right as well. Yes, CAA, we was 11th in rating in D with Fournier in the lineup. Would Spida really affect our D? Yeah, that's the point I'm making as well, fam, as well. What I would say is give it a chance, first and foremost. everyone's playing paper GM, basically. And yes, on paper, D wouldn't be great, right? Just based on what we've seen. But like I'm saying, you know, Brunson, Spida, you could trade them in the future, is right. This is a move in front of us, the Knicks right now. That's a step. You know, we take a step and we become a significant player in the East, right? He's obtainable and he would make us a serious player. Now, if by any chance the worst case scenario we stunk and we were defensive liability as well, and we tried for 2 years and we just couldn't get anywhere, right? You trade one of them, and you keep it moving as well. Donovan Mitchell's deal comes up in 3 years. You know, maybe you trade Brunson as well. You try to get a lockdown defender as well, and you figure it out. You figure it out later. That's just my thinking, right? I'm not trying to sit here and say Spider's going to get us to the promised land and it's going to happen and we'll be great. I'm just saying, you know, you can still make the move and you could still figure it out later as well. You could still make the move and you would still have flexibility, I think, to figure it out as well. D says that was because Mitch, CAA, because of our below average perimeter D with Mitch, with that situation. Yeah, Mitch, rim protection up in here as well. That's critical. That's why I think they also really loaded up on the big men's fam, the big man department with 3 bigs now with great size. Pause. CAA, we was the best defensive team in 21 and we won 1 playoff game. Yeah, give me Spida as well. We lost a lot of playoff games for many different reasons. Our offense stunk as well. Our defense was decent as well. Trae Young as well. We had trouble stopping him too in that series. But yeah, like I said, these guys, talented guys, don't come around every single day. It's got to be the right deal still. I stress that again and again and again. I'm not giving up 5 to 6 unprotected picks. No way. Spider's not worth that. You know, I'd love to see him a Nick, but that's not worth it. Yeah, Canal Grimes is who they want, and we should give him up because Grimes plays Mitchell's position. So he does play his position, fam. If we ultimately have to give up Grimes, then so be it. I don't think Grimes should hold up the deal. So I'm on the same track as you. Fam. He's a guy I really would love to keep out of the deal. But you can't pay so many guards, and I'd love to keep Obi just because of fit, right? To me, Obi's the one player I want to keep out of the Spida deal with this thing, fam. Yeah, Brian, Utah, opening night. Imagine that. Utah Jazz, opening night. Man, you hit with that one. Fabian wants ATL. That might just happen, fam. I think, you know, they didn't give us that on Christmas. Maybe it's opening night at the MSG opener, I think. Billy says RJ, Randall, and Brunson will eat with all the attention on Spida too. Yep. Yeah, that's facts, right? That'd be a lineup that I'm sorry, but the Utah Jazz just could never put together a lineup like that. Well, if Randall's still here, it'd be a lot of options, I think. Yeah, Brian says Randall is CAA. He's staying. This thing. I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, I know there's credible reports saying Randall's out of here if Spider's a Nick, but I'll believe it when I see it with this thing. But Randall's deal's extremely tradable. It's a really, really friendly deal, I think. Knicks home opener, the Clippers. Well, the Clippers, that'd be a nice look, fam. I really like that look too. Good matchup. Kawhi back in town. Yeah. You know, I'm rooting for health for Kawhi too. You know, I don't have no soft spot for the Clippers, but I love to see players play and stay healthy. So I hope Zion stays healthy this season and we could see what Zion is really. Well, Fabian says they're not taking Rokas. Keep him out. Is that because you want to keep Rokas around? You're high on him? The good thing is with Rokas, we're not on no timeline. He's not earning any NBA salary. He can season overseas, and we can wait to see what he looks like with more years in Europe, and then bring him over when the time is right. D's Water Hoop says Ainge is in no pressure to get the deal done. He will get what he wants. If we go through with the trade, it will be 5 to 6 picks and 75% of the young core with that thing. Says Ainge is under no pressure to get the deal done. Let's see. I feel I'm more optimistic that we can compromise a bit less than the 5 to 6 picks. I'm hoping 4 gets it done, but yes, maybe 75% of the young core. You're on the right track. Definitely Ainge is holding out for that situation, right? It's ultimately how willing is he to bring Mitchell into to training camp. With that, how much does he really want to live without any distraction? With that, hard will. It's definitely a win because the guys we trade aren't starters, and we would still have the young core, the core bench players that are replaceable. We can't keep everyone. You're thinking long term as well, fam. You can't really pay everybody, and sometimes you need to sell high on certain players as well. Sometimes the potential of a player wears out at some point, right? And I'm talking about the IQs, Quicklies, Cam Reddishes as well, right? They're 2 to 3 years away from potential running out, and then they have no value anymore. I'm not saying they're not going to become anything, but I'm saying if they don't. So D's completely against getting it done with Donovan, yet due to the price as well. The fit, like I said, I could get behind both sides, and I respect people's rationale behind not wanting the Mitchell thing as well. But for me, if it's the deal that's not giving up the whole farm, not 5 to 6 picks, I still pull the trigger on it as well. I still pull it. Eric, salute. Leon just needs to stand pat, not give up the future of our Knicks, and let the youngsters play if it comes down to it. That is a pathway to building development, slower build with this thing, which I'm all on board for. But everything I've been told, everything I've been hearing is that Leon Rose has chosen another direction. He hired Tom Thibodeau, and he is going to give Tom Thibodeau a chance, I think. And I think James Dolan, ultimately the owner as well, the buck stops with him. He would love to boost the value of this franchise, right? With more stars. D agrees with Eric. And hard will, if Danny doubled back, he got to negotiate better. Leon Rose stood his ground by walking away. And if Danny re-engaged, then he's ready to come closer to Leon's offer as well. That's the key part of this thing, fam, this story. There was an unconfirmed report that Utah re-engaged with the Knicks, but it's not a confirmed report. I haven't heard yet a confirmed report as to which side re-engaged with the other as well. But the truth is they're both talking. And I'm speculating, but I feel like there's that heavy motivation from both to get it done, right? While there's still 6-7 weeks out, the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge can still talk the talk. But the closer we get to training camp, I still feel like he would prefer Donovan Mitchell gone and to get a deal done before training camp, right? You traded away Rudy Gobert. You revealed your hand already, right? So what's he going to do? Bring in Mitchell with a ragtag bunch of role players to finish 9th, 8th, 10th in the West, 7th, 6th in the West, and kill their lottery chances? By all means, go ahead with that, right? Go ahead with that. That's not fooling me. That's bad posturing for me, right? You already traded Rudy Gobert. So what that situation is, Yeah, Spider's got 3 years on his deal. I keep hearing it every single day. A Utah fan tells me there's still 3 years on the deal. Well, okay, well, you're not Danny Ainge, are you? You know, what is his pathway to rebuild the Utah Jazz, right? It's through the generational draft to the likes we've not seen in years and years, right? Victor Wembanyama can be that dude to bring a title to the Utah Jazz in many, many years to come, right? He's generational, right? You mean you're telling me that you want to mess all that up just to spite and keep Donovan Mitchell to finish in the 7th seed out west as well, just because you were too stubborn to trade him? You know, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? It's a game of poker right now. And I know Danny Ainge would prefer to get Spida Mitchell off the roster, right? He's relying on the Knicks. However, he's relying on the Knicks' desperation, so-called, to bail him out, right? He wants the 5 to 6 picks if he can get them. But the closer we get to training camp, we might be able to compromise on 4 picks or less. This thing. Eric says Ainge isn't going to take advantage of Leon Rose. If it's not a reasonable deal, then Leon will walk. Period. Yep. I'm of that same mindset too. Yep. Margaret likes Grimes. Grimes is better than Mitchell, and he is taller. I keep him. Yep. I respect your opinion on that. I disagree. I think Donovan Mitchell, Grimes ain't a player we hold the Mitchell deal up for as well. However, Grimes is a player that I will really, really try to keep out of the deal as well, because I'm really high on Grimes up in this thing, and his influence with his D, his shooting, and all of that. Yeah, Billy Goat. People underrating I Heart as well. I love that nickname, and he's much better big off the bench than Noel. Yeah, I think people are underrating that too. That got me really excited. I think his name's going to be talked about so much throughout this season. So as the more we get to see him and the more he keeps developing, is Isaiah fam. He is a much, much better big than what we've had. Live body, rim protection, shooting, all of those things, right? Yeah, facts. Grizzlies opening night for the season, which is away as well. I'm interested to see the home opening night with that, fam. The home opener with that. You guys give us your thoughts on your juicy home opener, this thing. I'd love it to be the Nets. Yep. Margaret with the 2 small guards in the backcourt is a disaster. Remember, with the Kemba, I see now Tibbs getting pissed off at Donovan, letting his man go past him. Yeah, look, those are definitely founded concerns. The size, the defense as well. To me, it's not enough to back away from the deal, right? Like I said, I would do it personally and figure the rest out with this situation, right? We had Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker as well for most of the season. We still finished in the 11th ranked defense in the league. That a 3-and-D player will never be more valuable than an elite 3-level scorer. You're comparing a number 1 to a role player as well. Yep. I have to agree with that situation as well. I value D a lot, and I understand the concerns with the size as well. But yet, you never back away from bringing in a high-level all-star player for a player that's good on the defensive end only. I think, defensive specialists can be found as well. We could scour the market. We could find the best defensive player as well. Fabian, I'll give 3 unprotecteds and 3 protecteds and even 2 second-round picks to keep more of our young players. Well, so you're high on keeping more of the young players. Well, I can respect that. The reason I know it sounds a lot, but 3 protected picks really ain't a lot because we have so many. We have Washingtons, we have Milwaukee's, we have Dallas's as well. That's not even touching our own fam as well. So yeah, cash out Randall's gone. Book it. Yeah. Margaret, please don't talk about Melo, no D, and a ball hog. A lot of fans have moved on from that situation, right? in terms of the current Melo, I would not prefer him to be on this team. I don't think there's any need for him to come back as well, other than just a farewell tour with that. CA Grimes will not end up with a better career than Spida too, and I love Grimes too. Claw and Wall. Yeah, great point, Sam. I forgot. John Wall's finally freed, and let's see if he's healthy. Well, that's going to be a crazy look out there with the Lakers versus Clippers, the Battle of LA as well, right? It's going to be a nice season ahead. Everyone got me buzzing, the chat buzzing. Salute everyone out here. Let's keep it going. Margaret says, Knicks have no pressure. Danny wants what the Knicks have. Yep, completely agree with you on that. The Knicks do have no pressure. We can walk at any point. I would not be mad if we never get Spida. So I just think it's headed that way. I just think all signs point to the organization and the front office want. This is the feather in their cap, I think, to get him to elevate this franchise up the East and go from there, I think. But yeah. And what if Ainge gets pissed that we don't want to give him what he wants and he trades Mitch for a lesser deal to spite us as well? I think he'd be doing himself a huge disservice as well. I don't think that would be the way Danny Ainge would operate, but I think he would prefer to just hold on to Mitchell, I think, and trade him later, I think, till he gets that price. Well, the truth is he could always pivot to trade Mitchell for better players than the Knicks have. I think that's maybe Danny Ainge's alternative option in the future. Because again, I don't see a team able to pay 3, 4, 5 picks that the Knicks can give. And he loves the Knicks unprotected picks, right? If you would prefer the Miami's unprotected picks or the Knicks, you would bank on the Knicks unprotected picks being worse. I think with that. Yeah, we're still figuring out the potential of our young players too. That's a glimpse to the future that we all wish we could see right now, right? It'd make that thing real easy to see. But yeah, truth is we don't know until we really give these players their investment, give them minutes this season. That's why I was so hard on Tom Thibodeau last season, right? Last season to me was a free shot at giving these young players more minutes. Well, when the season was lost, but Tom, he waited too long. He gave Alec Burks too much burn with that, especially in a year that D Rose was injured, right? We just didn't capitalize on that enough, I think. Not Randall Haight, but he had one good year in a 72-game season in the empty gym, yet he was an anomaly. Yep, I completely agree. Imagine if we traded him at his heights, man, we would have got a haul for that thing, fam. Margaret, the Knicks will be fine. This deal won't work out. They're a better deal than what will happen with this thing. But yep, I think the Knicks will be fine either way too. I think if we get Mitchell, we'll have enough in the cupboards for some future flexibility. But if we don't get Spida, we'll have, of course, a clean slate to continue moving. D says Utah has potentially 2 lottery picks in this next draft, Margaret, without the picks we would give. As I said, no pressure. He could be playing 20 to 25 minutes a game with Utah tanking, and a sucker take the Ainge price for that. And Margaret, Ainge has more to lose than the Knicks. Yep. D also, in the report, CT, it clearly stated nothing has moved in their talks yet. It's still at a stalemate too. Yeah, I still think it's early, but yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no progression. There's no reports of a progression by any means as well. To me, this is more of a signal that they've re-engaged, which we can bank on signals their motivation to get a deal done, right? We don't know what the deal will end up being, but there's motivation to get it done because they want what we have and we have what they want as well. It's about, can they compromise and eventually agree on a package, I guess. It comes down to who wants the other team's package more. I think the Knicks are in a situation where we can healthily walk away with Jalen Brunson and see what this season looks like. But I really struggle to believe that Danny Ainge wants to bring Spida into the season. I could be way off, but I just can't see that happening after the Gobert deal. Wayne offers this input. I believe they're waiting for the August 31, September 1st, when more players are tradable. Yep, you hit with that. Absolutely. That's definitely a big thing in this key, with especially if it's a three-way with the Lakers, and you got players like Pat Bev, and you've got Malik Beasley and the like, the remnants from the Gobert deal. Margaret, I don't think they're tanking. I think the Knicks are fine going into camp with what they have. Yep. I think Leon Rose is very happy with his acquisitions and his moves, definitely. Yep. And we don't know how much more outside input this could have. Leon could be completely cool with rocking with what we have this season, but maybe Dolan, for other reasons, wants to, maybe not override, but encourage. I would encourage Leon to really explore the best way he can get the deal done as well. Yeah, Eddie says hard will with the good point about trading bench for All-Star. That takes some of the emotion out of it because we love Quick or Obi or Grimes. Yep. Julian Allen Hahn thinks that Danny Ainge does want our young players more to weaken our core. I did peep that as well, Julian. Good points. I think Ainge is interested in the young core and picks, but I think they're more likely to agree on picks with that thing, right? When the Knicks get Spida, they're hoping that they're good, so they're not as worried about the picks, I think. Tone B, salute. We need to stand strong, not give up anything crazy. I completely agree. Let's not go crazy here, and let's not bid against ourselves. Let's continue the conversations heading into training camp, and if it gets to the poignant part of where the camp's about to begin, and he's still asking for 5 to 6 unprotecteds, walk away. Walk away, call his bluff, and let Danny Ainge bring Donovan into the season, like everyone from the Utah side is saying they're comfortable doing. Then make them do it. Yep, make them do it if that's the case. Yeah, and after signing Brunson and possibly being fined for it, do we really need to rush into another move? This thing. So, yep, a lot of passion, a lot of buzz coming from the chat. This is a poignant part of this franchise right now. We've built ourselves up to be able to make moves, be a player in this thing, develop good young players, go in for an all-star as well. This is why the GMs and the presidents get paid the big dollars, fams, because once there's pulling the trigger, there's no going back with this situation as well. Yep. D heard that report too from Julian that he mentioned. I really hope that's not the reason. I thought it would be the picks mostly that we didn't want to part with this thing, but yeah. Truth is, no one's been able to quite nail that report yet, right? There's so much buzz between Shams, Tony Jones, Andy Larson from the Jazz side, and of course the Knicks situation. Obviously the Knicks have got some great reporters as well, but yeah, haven't really heard much from Ian Begley recently on this situation as well. So no one's been quite able to lock down where the holdup is, I think. I love those guys, but they need somewhere to grow properly, and it's a logjam, right? Facts, right? And like I said, the point I made, yes, every single Knicks young player has potential. I'm as high on them as the next Knick fan, but there's a point when potential wears out. Potential has an expiry date. Well, when the player doesn't have potential no more, then you're sitting on a player that's not an asset anymore. as well. So, yeah, you could try to develop all of them, but some of them aren't going to become stars. And then what? And then, you held them out of the deal. Then you got new players. You got new drafts coming up where you need to draft more players as well. Roster spots are at a premium up in this thing. Wembanyama in the 23 draft class is our leverage. Danny can play hardball all he wants, but all of us can see his poker hand, right? Julian, say that again. You hit with that. You hit as well. He traded Gobert, and yeah, it's facts. He has D Mitch on a 3-year deal. That's his leverage right now. Oh, we'll bring Spida back. We'll revisit trades in a year. We'll revisit the trade in another year. And then what, Danny, right? It's still a ticking situation, right? There's credible reports that Mitchell will opt out from the 24 season. So, by all means, if we're the Knicks, let's sit tight. Let's sit pretty, right? Develop our core and see what happens, right? Bring him back, right? Who's going to give him 4 firsts with this thing, fam? Yet D says, I think the Jazz own 3 firsts, with 2 of them being lottery bound. That narrative doesn't make sense with that. Friendly pushback with that. And hard will. And Spida and Brunson are way better than Kemba and Fournier right now. Yep. And our defense was decent as well. Yep. Yeah, with that situation, I understand the Knicks fans that don't want to go in on this Spida deal. If the reason is they don't want to part with too many picks or they don't want to part with young players. But the argument I make against the defense being an issue is, like I said, you can figure the rest out later. You could trade them if it doesn't work out in the future. I think if it's a fair deal, my opinion is if it's a fair deal, get it done, and then work around that. Work around the defensive issues, have a crack for 2-3 years in the East, and then you could trade one of them as well. It's not set for the future forever. These guys are heading into their primes, not even in their primes yet. 25, 26 years old. Well, years before they're even 30. That thing. And CAA says keeping more young players makes us give up more draft capital. We are not paying a full core of role players in 2 years. Draft capital helps us get another star to add to Spida in 2 years as well. Yep, I got to get behind that points as well, fam. That's spitting facts. I think Knicks fans have a friendly attachment, I would say, friendly attachment to current players as well, and would love to see them develop. But the future capital, draft capital, is what helps you remain flexible. Well, you cannot pay everybody. Well, that's what I said. What goes into potential, and potential young players have an expiry up in this thing as well. Yep, you want to keep more young players or keep more draft capital to get Spida. Yep. I'd rather give up young core, but Danny wants the capital. Yep. Knicks don't want to part with their own picks. There's a situation, Margaret. Yeah, that's key. I think it's also protections on the picks too. As Dripmore comes through, salute, fam. Yep, chat's absolutely buzzing. Keep it going. Eddie, it's always been the case that if we don't do the Don deal, we might be sad, but we will still have the assets we know other teams covet. It's not like you're betting your role on you miss. Yep. Yeah, definitely. We're good either way, I think. That's the good thing about this thing, I think. Eddie says, I agree. If he was okay with Don in camp, they wouldn't be talking now. Yep. Yeah, facts, Eddie. I think that's why I said this report doesn't, people are discrediting it in some way, that it doesn't, insinuate a deal's going to happen or that it's getting close as well. But, it's progress. It's the end in sight for me, because they've re-engaged and there's the motivation that lies behind it. They want to get it done. I feel like, yeah, CAA, by signing Brunson, the front office is telling you they don't think IQ is a point. So you have IQ, Grimes, RJ at the 2. Logjam, get a bona fide star at that position. and then get rid of the logjam. That right? Yep. Asset management's tough with this thing, fam. Yep, I hear it. Yeah, Eric, salute. There was that tweet which I saw, said that the Jazz reached out first. Yep. How credible is that Twitter user as well? Look, great question. And I know a lot of us want that to be true. But to me, yeah, I spoke on that report earlier. I didn't name the source, but to me, not discrediting no one, but I don't see that as a credible source to put faith into. With that, I'd rather wait for somebody more with a more track record or with that. Yeah, the New York sports guy, no one is talking about the Gobert deal being an overpay. Why are they trying to force us to overpay more for Spida because of the Gobert overpay? That Gobert overpay is going to continue to cause headaches up in your fam. Yep. D says, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And if that was the case, it would be done already. I think it's the astronomical ask of the draft capital that's stalling this deal. Yep. Which is kind of to me, D, it's Ainge overplaying his hand. Because think about it, what other team can even come close to giving him 3 to 4 unprotecteds, right? Well, the fact that he's asking for 5 or 6 when no other team can even give him 3 or 4 is a bit like, okay, that's Ainge overplaying his hand. To me, that's the case. Yeah. And Margaret bets us one thing: the Knicks aren't giving up both the Dallas and their own in 2023, right? The Knicks want to be a player in this draft, right? Absolutely facts, fam. Well, there's a great chance we miss the play-in this season, right? Or a good chance, maybe not great, but there is a chance we miss the play-in. So, Geraldine, good morning, salute, joining us all on this thing. Let's shout out some people. Daras, salute. Let's get it as well. Appreciate you, D. Let's get it. And there is now another team that Utah can really trade with. We good all season on hold. Yet there is no other team with this thing, fam. Daras up in here. Got the coffee on point with this. Cash out, yet not credible at all. Not credible at all, fam. Yep, I agree with that report. Right. If you think about it, if that was true, if anyone would have said it, a guy like Shams who came up with the entire report, he would have been the guy to say that the Jazz, re-engaged as well. But we all know that ain't good for Danny Ainge's perception, right? Danny Ainge doesn't re-engage with people, right? Danny Ainge is supposed to be the guy that has what other people want, and he sits there to fleece them. So, and truth is, I don't trust anything coming solely from the Jazz side, right? Shams and Tony Jones, out of the two, Tony Jones is connected to the Jazz. None of them are connected to the Knicks. So, yeah, again, I want to see some more reporting coming out as well. We'll start to hear more. Best believe it. Sides are fully re-engaged now, right? They aren't just going to re-engage to disengage immediately, right? This is going to trickle over to the next days, weeks to come until this thing gets done. I think, well, we had the hiatus where teams were on vacay. They went apart. They listened to some things, other teams. And I think the fact that they've re-engaged, I feel that means that they're committed to each other to try to get something going. I think, Eddie, camp is a compelling event, which usually what it takes to get a business deal done, like a budget change or a low change, there has to be a timer on a deal, right? Spitting truth, Eddie. Well, that's the basis behind my feeling why a deal gets done. It's just because of the timeline with this thing, right? Both sides have what each other wants, and they're motivated to avoid the headaches of what's next, basically. Well, for the Knicks, I would admit there's no headache. Well, I would comfortably go into the season without Mitch, without Spida, with that. But yeah, Danny Ainge would probably be willing to wait even longer as well. So, but let's see. Yeah, if it ain't Woj, Shams, Begley, Mark Stein as well, then it ain't credible as well. Or it most likely ain't credible as well. There are been some jewels dropped from lower end dudes as well, but not too often as well, fam. Manchild, salute. Leon came to the right to right the ship, and he falling for range antics with this thing. Agent, salute. Leon Rose, don't break. Just don't break, Leon. Don't give away the future of that as well. Yeah, look, talks are going to continue, but if Ainge is asking for a ridiculous amount, it's not going to happen too. I think Leon's strong enough to hold out as well. One more thing, guys, live today to put this Donovan Mitchell, Jazz and Ainge false narratives to bed. Yep. Yep, appreciate you. Thank you. Let's get it. Yep. D, salute. I'll be there. Let's get it. Appreciate it. Let's get it. Agent, any information coming out of this Jazz organization is tainted and not factual. Yeah, I think there's definitely some back-end leverage pools going on between the media with this thing as well. It's been very, very carefully worded, is why I say that with this thing, right? It's very, very, very carefully worded with this situation. Yep. All our draft picks before the new CBA agreement are even more valuable. Yep. What do you think the front office values more, the young core or the picks? Well, I don't think it's actually one more than the other. I think it's a blend of both. Like, whatever is fair, you know. If you want more young players, then you get less picks. If you want more picks, you get less young players. I think the Knicks, you know, it just has to be a balanced deal. I think some balanced deal. Agent, I think the Cam Reddish workout vid got Danny Ainge attention. Yeah, scouts out here living for that. Salute, Soulfinger number 12. Salute. Let's get it, ladies and gents. There's nothing like more buzz to land. Got everyone chopping this thing up. It's going to be crazy as weeks to come. We're not even close to training camp yet. But yeah, this is going to be a big season, fam. And no doubt opening night is going to be absolutely lit as well. We have Christmas Day to get amped about. We're playing the Grizzlies away for the season opener. Yet we're yet to find out the home opener. But we see the tweet from Bill Simmons as well. The Knicks are expected to be on national television a heck of a lot, which I agree as well. Harden's excited for the Garden up in here as well. The Knicks have a beautiful young core as well. Some of them are going to go into better things as well. Let's hope all of them. But Bleacher Report also had this that I want to hit on, like I did the other day. Barrett, Cam Reddish, and IQ, that they've ranked as 1, 2, and 3 with this thing, ladies and gents. So I don't disagree with it. I think, you know, it could obviously move around with Obi and Grimes on the come up as well. But yeah, fam, let's absolutely see what comes of this, fam. Yeah, ultimately I'll recap, you know, my thoughts at this story leaked out, I think, to signal that, yeah, sides have re-engaged, and I think there's just too much motivation to get it done. Now, whether they can compromise on what's needed to get it done right before the season begins is still a tall task. But I do expect it to be done. I'm expecting it to be done before the season begins. I just think the Knicks and the Jazz would love to get it done as well. Let's get it. Margaret says Bleacher Report name RJ, Cam Reddish, and IQ the next great talent. Yep, definitely. You know, really high ceilings for all three of them. Yep, really high ceilings. for them. But I think there could be some tweaks in a year's time. Definitely. I think this is a big year for Cam. Well, he's going to get an opportunity to, to show what he can do. Well, he's definitely going to get a chance, whether it's with the Knicks, the Lakers, or wherever else. Well, contract years bring out the best in players as well. Contract years. He's super motivated. Look at these videos out here. It's crazy. I would love to see Leon ride with what we have for at least one more year, man-child. Yep, I respect that. Well, we really don't know what we're going to look like this season. Well, maybe a few dudes pop, and then it's like problem solved. Well, Shah says Obi, IQ, Evan, and 4 firsts with 2 unprotected only. Obi, IQ, Evan, 4 first rounders with only 2 unprotected. Gets it done. That's a nice, fair package, I think, from Ainge's perspective, I think. And I don't feel like Ainge should overplay his hand with this thing either. That's just my feelings towards that. Yep. Agent says Cam, that X factor up in here. Yep, salute. Randall, Cam, IQ with 2 protecteds and 2 unprotecteds. With this thing, right? Randall, yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to happen, fam. Whether he goes to LA, maybe LA give Utah Russ. I think that's a more plausible deal with that thing, fam. I think Russ goes to Utah. Maybe Randall goes to LA with this thing. Yeah, let's get ready to wrap this thing up, and hope everyone has a beautiful day. And many blessings, prosperity to come with this situation. I'm good either way, but I do feel like this is inevitable. That's just my opinion. I think Spida Mitch will be that Nick, and I think there's 75% chance it happens before training camp. And we will continue to chop this thing up. Smash the like button, D-Ras, salute. We'll get you all on the outro. Peace.
You can't be serious. I mean, really though? You mean to tell me that them Voltrons went out like that? Hey, yo, Nims, let me hold this for a minute.
Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, whole said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house. That playing game don't mean you won inside the playoffs. Don't even talk to the media, take that jersey off. The 4 games I'm tuned in, you had the city watching. Don't even watch Philly play, just watch James Harden. That swing pick, never mind, I let my man take him. And now Katie having nightmares of Jason Tatum. That famous line by Loaded Lux that you gon' get this work. Don't talk to me about Ben, he said his back hurt. Like Kyrie, like Steve Nash, you can take the blame. Come next year, I'm going back to playing half them games. The truth be told, we don't care about your Barclays. When it comes to the city, this here's RJ's. My young Jims right now, yeah, they on some shit. From Obi Toppin, I man your ass real quick. A line flip, no, I feel bad for Blake Griff. That's the loss you gotta take to win a championship. Now you back like the New Jersey Nets. What you thought your Final Four was cutting down the nets? Bong bing, close the train doors. The broom swept, can't believe they got Ford. Kyrie, you a problem child. Well, Ho said, shit, let me move my bowels. Bong bing, this must be a dream. I thought I saw Spike with the other team. Bong bing, what we talking about? No matter who's on your team, you in the Knicks house.
When it comes to the city.